Shout out to Miss Garcia for sending me this story right here, and it is about Taylor Swift being a thief. And it's been a while since I've talked about Taylor Swift on my channel, but if there's ever a chance I get to talk about her in a certain way because people love to prop her up as if she's America's sweetheart, then I'm going to go right ahead and do it. So basically what you have here is Taylor Swift has come out with this new album called Folklore. Well, the merch for her album called Folklore. And now she and her team accused the pop star last week of selling merchandise that ripped off the logo of her company, which sells apparel, accessories, and other products by designers in Africa and the diaspora. Rasul shared photos on Twitter and Instagram that showed cardigans and sweatshirts with the words "The Folklore Album for sale" on Swift's website. And her tweet read, "Wait, hold up, Taylor Swift. It's one thing to use the name Folklore, but we're out here stealing black women's logos too." And let me stop right here. This is another reason why feminism did not work for black women, and I don't know why some of them prop it up so much. You see what's going on right here? You have yet another palm-colored woman, it doesn't matter who she is, stealing yet again from another black woman. I thought y'all was supposed to be, all in this fight together, but clearly you're not. Based on the similarities of the design, I believe the designer of the merch ripped off my company's logo, she wrote on July 24th. I am sharing my story to bring light to the trend of large companies and celebrities copying the work of small and minority-owned business owners. I am not going to let this blatant theft go unchecked. As of Tuesday, Swift's website was no longer selling apparel with the words "The Folklore Album," swapping it out for new designs that read "Folklore Album." Now, this is where I believe that they are guilty, because you got to think. Taylor Swift has a bigger name than this woman who has accused her of stealing her logo and her design. If this wasn't false, if this was merely a false allegation this woman made, Taylor Swift and her team would have countered it and fought it. But they didn't. They backed away from it and then scrubbed it from the website, which leads me to believe that this woman's allegations is more than just that. It might actually be true, considering the money that Taylor Swift has that she could have fought this, but they didn't, and then they rebranded it. So in my eyes, that makes me believe they are guilty. Rasul called the design change a great first step and said her and Swift's teams were discussing the situation. I commend Taylor's team for recognizing the damage the merchandise caused to my company at the Folklore brand. She wrote on Tuesday, I recognize that she has been a strong advocate for women, protecting their creative rights, so it was good to see her team is on the same page. First off, she should have not let her and her team get off the hook that easily. Because what if this woman was not paying attention to her own branding, that Taylor Swift and her team would have went ahead and did it? They wouldn't have said anything. They were going to go run along with it and, take her design. So I would not have given her anything of an explanation like this woman did. That's just me. CNN has reached out to Rasul and Swift publicist for comment, but has not yet heard back. On Thursday, Swift announced that she was donating to Rasul's company. That's another admission of guilt. Amira, I admire the work you're doing, and I am happy to make a contribution to your company and to support the Black and Fashion Council, which is launching on August 3rd with a donation, she wrote in response to Rasul's tweet. Later, Rasul publicly thanked Swift for her response, Swift's decision to shake it off, and I hate that damn song, at least her version of it, and correct course stands in contrast to the way that Lady A, formerly known as Lady Antebellum, handled a similar situation. The country trio announced last month that it will be dropping Antebellum from its name because of the association with slavery and go by Lady A. But it turned out that blues singer Anita White has been performing under the name Lady A for decades. Initially, it seemed that the parties would be able to sort things out, but things broke down, and the group filed suit in Nashville's U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee. The suit asserts that the group was granted a trademark on the name Lady A in 2011 after several years of using it interchangeably with Lady Antebellum for their goods and services. Wow. That's America for you. But this isn't the first ride at the rodeo that Taylor Swift has done something like this. But the one I'm going to use for you now, actually she got away with for an album that she came out with, and you may have heard of the album. If y'all remember, Taylor Swift a few years ago came out with an album called 1989, and the design of it was like a Polaroid picture of her as a child with the writing and the writing on the photo 1989. You know how they used to do back in the day. Well, as it turned out, Mariah Carey was going to release a album filled with demos, like, unreleased demos that she did for her first album, which came out in 1990. I'm giving y'all a little bit of brief history here. And she was going to call it 1989. Now, this was before Taylor Swift came out with her album 1989. And I think the design of the album was going to be pretty much the same as the one Taylor Swift had. But Mariah Carey and her team, they were going to do it first. And it was going to be that whole thing. So not only did she steal the title of the album, but she stole the look of it. And unfortunately, Mariah Carey never released that album, because that was what she was going to call it, because that was the year in which she started working on her first album, and around the time when she probably first got signed. So this is not the first ride at the rodeo for Taylor Swift stealing people's ideas and creative art and then trying to pass it off as her own. But see, because she's who she is, people are going to overlook it, or they're going to come defend her like she's this delicate person that needs comforting and needs to, I guess, feel protected from outside forces that are supposedly going to gang up on her.